What is going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 60 of the Talking ATL Hawks podcast. You got your crew, your usual crew with you. Myself, my boy Andrew, my boy John, and we are here to talk about more Atlanta Hawks losses. Yes, from the last time we recorded, nothing changed. We have lost three more games since the
Straight to the
last
point.
time we
I
record
love it.
episode, which extends our losing streak to six. So
Six
now the
or seven. It could be seven too. 6 or 7.
Oh my
oh
gosh. Oh no.
oh so
Oh
seven.
no. What did you do? What did you do?
But it could be seven by tomorrow. I think. Yeah,
It
tomorrow.
probably will be.
Oh,
Considering all the injuries that just came out following this OKC game, you can go ahead and write it off as a 7-game losing streak.
obviously no KP. Trey Young is listed as questionable. Jalen Johnson's listed as questionable. So I mean KP, that's no surprise. But if Trey and JJ, or really if one of the two doesn't play, I don't really see any chance the Hawks goes to Oklahoma and beats the defending champs, who only loses.
No, Jalen's out tomorrow. He's out.
Oh, he's a bit okay. I saw earlier he was listed as questionable, so he's
He's out
officially
for an
listed out.
illness. He's out for an illness.
All
Did he
right.
touch KP? Did he and KP sleep together? Like, what's going on? He better not have a KP. He better not touch that unicorn. Because
Well,
I don't know what's up with that unicorn, but it's infected.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Andrew, because KP. So there was an update that he was scheduled to be reevaluated to see if he was fit to play today, but instead the doctor just or whoever's examining it was like, you know what, we're not going to reevaluate him to make him available to play. We're just going to continue to monitor his health and just see how his heart is, where his health is going, and we'll go from there. So basically, that's not good news. That means we just took a halt on his progress. And when we thought at this point, maybe Chris Sauce would be getting closer to where he can play, but now it's like we're 3 weeks down the road from the news that we got about his critical heart condition, and he has made basically no progress. So, which leads me to my start bench cut, which really isn't a start bench cut. It's really just an open discussion. I know when we talk about these next three games, there's going to be, we're going to go over why we lost. You know, we're going to take a deeper dive into the Atlanta Hawks issues, why we're on this 6-game losing streak, why are we consistently giving up 120 plus points a game. But before we even get into all that, we're just going to have a simple, open discussion and kind of just like look at the picture here. So Trae Young's been back for a couple games now, and while he is playing some great basketball, we have yet to win without him. The Kristaps Porzingis as a problem, as I just mentioned, is not getting any better. It's at a complete standstill, and we still have no answer of whether or not we're going to get KP back at all, or how it's going to be minimized, or whatsoever. And the Atlanta Hawks defense continues to be terrible, even when we get good perimeter defense. Because last night, we're going to get into it, the Atlanta Hawks actually showed some pretty good perimeter defense, and we contested a lot of their threes. But then that just translated to their inside scoring being completely dominant, and that's where they got most of their points. You look at, if you're, let's say you're the Atlanta Hawks, let's say you're the GM, and you're looking at the full picture here. I want you to talk about, in your mind, in your personal opinion, what is the biggest decision? What is the biggest move the Hawks need to make right now to sustain this team, to maybe still be a team that can compete for a top 5 seed in the East? What is the number one thing the Atlanta Hawks have to do right now to get back to that point of what we thought at the start of the season? Whoever wants to start, y'all can. I'll let that be a choice amongst ourselves.
I'll start. I'll just make it simple. And it really pains me to say this, but I think it's Trae Young. I genuinely think. Because think about it. We were top 4 in the East to start the season when Trae Young went down with that injury that took him out for a month and a half. And so I mean, I just think that I just think that I'm just like yes, Trae Young is our best Trae Young by far is our best shooter. When he's healthy, obviously. But I mean, defensively, he defensively. Defensively, he is our Achilles heel, and defense is our main issue. From perimeter defense to post defense, he cannot help us whatsoever. So, I mean, as I want to, as much as I hate to say this, I think it's time to make. I think we're getting dangerously close to that discussion of whether we try trade him trade him away.
All right, so before you get to your point, Andrew, John, I'm going to ask you. So I know you mentioned that Trey Young's kind of a liability on defense, but it's from my perspective, and I want to know if you agree with this, John. I know, like before Trey Young was coming back, we were talking about what our expectations of Trey Young was when he came back. We want him to be a playmaker, number one. First and foremost, don't mess up the consistency and the rhythm of this team, of the offense. Just go back to Steve Nash like you were last year, and then take the shots when necessary. And to me, that's exactly what we've gotten. I think what we've gotten from Trae Young since he's got back is exactly what we wanted before he got injured. So, do you think that? Are you saying that like you think we should get rid of Trae Young in terms of maybe getting pieces to build for the future, or are you saying we think we should get rid of Trae Young because you just think he's a problem to why we're so stagnant?
Well, okay, so, I mean, like, okay, like, obviously, like, I want pieces back, obviously, so, like, the first thing you said, like, I want to trade, I want to trade Trae Young for pieces that can have, for pieces that can, that can, like, replace him, like, I can't really think of any examples off the top of my head, but, like, I mean, I just don't want to. I definitely don't want to give away Trae Young for like almost nothing. Like, I don't want to give him away for bag of chips. I want like something obviously bad. I want something bad, obviously, like in return, maybe like a first round pick or something. But I mean, I'm gonna go back to your point. I mean, like, I do agree that the Trae Young's playmaking has been like his best in years. But I mean, like I've always said, defense wins championships, and Trae is that defensive liability for us on the floor. So that's why I'm all for like sending him away to get some defensive pieces back.
It's definitely a conundrum because I mean, like you said, John, like his playmaking is probably the best it's ever been, and his scoring is being very consistent. But it's unfortunate because it's like you have to weigh the options. Is what he's producing offensively worth how much of a liability he is? And that's kind of a hard thing to determine. But Andrew, what do you got for us, man?
So I still want to I kind of want to piggyback what you guys have been saying. I don't want Trae Young to get a bad rep because since returning from injury, Trae Young it's clear he's looked like himself again. And that does matter to the Hawks' current situation because the scoring has popped. But just as important is how comfortably you can see him running the offense again, just like he was before his injury and in years prior. He's creating the clean looks for teammates like Jalen Johnson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Vit Krivich, and that's something I want to hone in on as well because one of the biggest concerns about Trae Young's return from injury is how much was he being on the floor going to limit Jalen Johnson, but it hasn't. Jalen Johnson has still been scoring at high rates, and he's still averaging every night at least close to those triple-double numbers, and that is because Trae Young has implemented his ability to create those clean looks, control the tempo, and consistently turn defense attention into open shots for his teammates like Jalen Johnson. And that blend of his scoring and his elite playmaking that we always known that he's had is exactly why his recent performances have boosted his trade stock again, because that's something we were also worried about. Because I think the Hawks have always been on the fence that Trae Young has to be traded, but we don't know what his injury was going to do to the draft stock. But now that we see that it hasn't put a flaw in his play style, his draft stock is through the roof again, and we can utilize that to get the value that we need. Because teams don't just see points. They see a guard who can instantly organize any offense and evaluate everyone that's around him to provide the best looks for his teammates. Now, like John said, and it's the most important factor as to why I think our biggest need is to trade him, is because his only real limitation on trade's value remains on his defense. Because look, his size makes him an easy target. We're just going to throw it out there. But in today's NBA, you can manage that with the right personnel. And I don't want people to be like, "Oh, Trey." I mean, yes, he can't play defense, and to be honest, half of the time he doesn't really hardly try. But with the right personnel around him, that kind of player can lead to success. I just don't know if Quinn Snyder has the right personnel for that kind of play style to work with what he's got running in the system. And what Atlanta really needs is help on the back line. Kristaps Porzingis is consistently out. It's going to be like that while he's here in Atlanta. Let's just not sugarcoat that at all.
Yeah.
The Hawks are missing that impactful big who can protect the rim, clean the glass, and finish the plays that Jalen Johnson or Trae Young creates. And without having that safety net that we no longer have with Kristaps Porzingis, and I'm going to say Okongwu as well, because when Okongwu is off the floor, that's when these problems are more visible. Atlanta's defense collapses, and Trae's weaknesses are more magnified because we don't have that security blanket. So if we can add a reliable two-way big to help track down some of these defensive flaws and help clean the glass a little bit. Because look at the last few games. We can't rebound. Teams are getting a lot of second chance points. We can't rim protect. And that becomes dangerous when it comes to halting a losing streak that we're on right now. So if you ask me, I'm on your side. Trade Trae Young and get the big safety net that we need. And I'm not talking about Anthony Davis.
Something else too that we didn't really mention is we still haven't extended Trae Young, so I was like, come this offseason, if you don't extend me, he's gone. He's a free agent.
That's why we have to trade him.
He can sign wherever he wants to. So would you rather let him walk, or would you rather trade him and get assets?
Well, so like we mentioned, at the start of the season, the only way that we could really see realistically of Trae Young re-signing with the Atlanta Hawks is if by All-Star break or by the trade deadline, if the Hawks were looking like true competitors, there was a chance Trae Young could re-sign. But we're in danger of that not even being a possibility anymore. If the Hawks are mediocre heading into the trade deadline,
I think it's almost New Year's. It's almost news, and the trade deadline is February 6th or something like that.
Exactly.
After the new year. So
if we're mediocre by trade deadline, there's almost no chance of Trae Young re-signing, and I think that would be the sign that, hey, we have to trade Trae Young. That's our only option. Because we've always used this for reference, we don't want to be like the Los Angeles Angels back when they had Shohei Ohtani, and when they had the chance to trade him, they didn't, and he ended up walking away free agency, and they got nothing for the best player in the league. Now, Trae Young's not the best player in the league, but I think the way he's been playing is very attractive. I mean, yeah, you could say he's a defensive reliability, but someone's going to value him as a playmaker, the best playmaker in the league, in my opinion. I'll stand by that. And his scoring's gotten very consistent. So I think we're now at the point that we can at least get something really impactful for the Atlanta Hawks at the trade deadline. And I think you're absolutely right. I love Trae Young. I love what he's doing offensively. Just because the Hawks defense is so poor right now, it doesn't help that Trae Young is such a bad liability. So I'm with you, Andrew. I think we could trade him at the deadline and maybe get that two-way big that the Atlanta Hawks really need to help out with rebounding and then help closing out on inside defense when we do want to push up and play perimeter defense like we did last night, like we should continue to do the rest of the year. That's a lot to unpack, and it's going to be a busy – when the trade deadline hits, I expect that to be a very busy and stressful week for the Hawks front office. But we'll only find out when that time comes. But to get into what was another dreadful week of Atlanta Hawks basketball, which started on Christmas.
Hold on a minute. Before we get to the negativity – it was Christmas this past Thursday. Well, we don't talk about Christmas at all.
Merry Christmas, everybody! Merry post Christmas, everybody. Yeah, John, I'm glad you mentioned that. How was everybody's Christmas? I should have started the episode with that. How was everybody's Christmas, man?
Mine was good. Santa brought me like pretty much everything that I wanted. Except some things are coming in late.
Hey,
The mail gets busy around Christmas time. So, Christmas.
Santa,
Mine
Santa,
was good. Mine was good.
Santa's a busy man. He can't get
Yeah,
everything in
no,
time.
yeah, for real. But
Look,
Gotta cut that man some slack. I mean,
all that matters is that John got that $100 Fanatic card that he's going to use on that Luke Kennard jersey. Or Keith
or
Wallace.
Kristaps Porzingis jersey.
It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up between a Luke Kennard and a Keaton Wallace jersey.
No, well, actually, no. Well, actually, I can't. I can't even buy those because it's only got $100 on it, and jerseys cost 120. So I can't even use that. So I'm probably just gonna buy like a Hawks shirt or something. But
No. They better be on sale. The way we've been playing lately, they better be 50% off.
yeah, for real.
Ain't that the truth?
But how was y'all's Christmas? How was y'all's Christmas?
I mean, ours was good. We spent some great time with the family. Santa came and got us some pretty good gifts. There wasn't an oiled up John Jorna under my tree, but I guess you can't get everything you put on your list.
Oh, I did. But I did hear someone banging on my door like Christmas Eve. So like that might have been Santa, but I didn't let him in because strangers.
Dang, Santa was there to pick you up. You didn't answer the door.
Yeah, no.
Thanks for ruining my Christmas, John.
Can't be too. But what, Chase? I'll make it up to you. I do owe you a beverage at the Hawks game next week. So I will buy you a beverage. Well, it's either you or Andrew. I can't. Okay. I'll buy everyone I'll buy everyone's something at Ted's. And I'll buy everyone a shot of something at Ted's.
What? W John. W John over here.
Yeah, let's keep going. So I will buy everyone a shot of some fun water at Ted's.
Yeah, because we like Ted's water. It's just something about it is just really good. I can't explain it. It's just Ted's water hits.
Fun water is awesome.
Especially with the lemon in it, bro. Like,
yeah, it's definitely. But I guess we are done doing the inevitable. I guess we gotta get into it.
Hey, I mean, look. I think Ted's water is a perfect segue into a horrible week of Atlanta Hawks basketball, which started on a Christmas Adam with the Atlanta Hawks hosting the Chicago Bulls once again, like they did that previous Sunday, which we're recapping last episode, which included the Atlanta Hawks scoring 150 points and losing. But now we turned around, like we got a little day break. We were able to get our get back. Now, it was a bit of a panic heading into this game because the Atlanta Hawks gave up 152 points, and that was with our best defender, Dyson Daniels, playing. But heading into this matchup this past Tuesday night, Dyson Daniels was listed out. Something with like one of his shoulders, some kind of shoulder injury. I can't remember exactly what it was. Kept him sidelined. That's why he didn't play. So yeah. Exactly. So now we're daggum. We just came from dropping from letting the Bulls drop 152. They might drop 250 on us now. Except it was we lost this game the exact opposite way we lost the previous game. For the first 3 quarters, our defense was not bad. Now, it wasn't great by any means, but we were doing a lot better closing out from 3. We were better at getting rebounds. We were forcing a lot of transition baskets, if you want the exact numbers here. So the Bulls made 13 3-pointers. The Hawks made 14. So very limited to what they did the game before. They did out rebound us by 10, but the offensive rebound was very limited, which means we didn't give up as many second chance points as we did the game before. The Hawks scored 23 points off of turnovers. So you can see defensively, we were creating a lot better opportunities on offense for ourselves. We were limiting their second chance points. We were closing out three a lot better. So defensively was a lot better. And offensively, the Atlanta Hawks played phenomenal until the fourth quarter, when all of a sudden we went on a big scoring drought, and the Hawks had a 13-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. And because we couldn't score, we left the door open. We cracked the door open, but then the door kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until the Bulls slammed it open, and they won the fourth quarter 34-18 to break the hearts of the Atlanta Hawks fans and steal another win in Atlanta, extending the losing streak to four. So just when we thought the Atlanta Hawks maybe got it figured out defensively, our offense still looked phenomenal, we still found a way to lose. It was an absolute heartbreaker. Andrew and I was intended to witness yet the Atlanta Hawks they love to break our hearts during the holidays. So I'll let y'all go ahead and get into this a little deeper. Like I mentioned, Andrew was there with me in attendance, so I'm gonna kick it off to Andrew first. Andrew, what's the first thing you want to pull out of this basket of disaster?
It's what you said. I mean, you take a look at how the Chicago Bulls were able to storm back and close the door that the Hawks should have never let close in the first place, and that goes to the multiple double-digit deficits that the Atlanta Hawks in prior games already this season that the Hawks failed to close out on, and those same problems kind of arose. I mean, you saw the 19-6 run that the Bulls went on to earn to help the Bulls earn their fourth straight victory. And I think a lot of that just had to do with what the Bulls had on the court, because they didn't make a lot of substitutions in the fourth quarter. I take a look at Josh Giddey, how I think he was the one that was able to really power the comeback, because he had that monster triple-double where he had 19 points, 15 assists, 11 rebounds, and then Kobe White finished with a team-high 24 points, and he delivered that decisive blow by knocking down that tie-breaking free throw with 1.9 seconds remaining. And if you remember, Chicago trailed as many as 18 points in the second quarter, and that goes to what you said, Chase, how the Hawks, for the first three quarters, for once, what we haven't seen in about a week and a half, the Hawks really maintained tempo up until the winding minutes of that game. And then because we even had a 15-point lead late in the third quarter and still found ourselves with a 10-point lead with under 6 minutes left before we flipped the script. And then I also want to talk about how Nikola Vucic, he had 21 points, 10 rebounds, and that was pretty good as well. And Trae Young, I'll just go and throw his numbers out there because he had a very nice game, 22 points and 15 assists. But like I said, this game slipped from our fingers because of late game execution issues. And I just go ahead and throw out the obvious. I think what you said, Chase, was absolutely right. Atlanta, without having Dyson Daniels for the first time this season, I think you could instantly see with that right hip inflammation, I believe is what we had. You saw down the stretch how the Hawks could have used him on those transition defense moments. But I think the biggest thing that bugged me about this game is that even though the Hawks blew the lead, the Bulls found themselves up by 2. In the last possession from the Atlanta Hawks, we were able to call a timeout right before our inbound. Quinn Snyder drew up the perfect play that led to Nickeil Alexander-Walker blowing by his defender, finding himself an open layup inside the paint. Game is tied. You've got what you want. All you have to do is defensively keep the inbound from finding itself inside the paint, contest any outside shot the Bulls pull up, send the game to overtime. But what happens is Zaccharie Risacher trying to get around a screen, which you could argue was an offensive foul on Kobe White because of the way that he kind of pressed his elbow into Zachary's hip. But because Zaccharie wrapped his arm around his chest, they flagged Zaccharie for the foul, which the Bulls already being on a bonus, sent Kobe White to the free throw line, which gave him the game solidifying free throws. So to me, that was the most painful blow of that game, that the Hawks lost the lead, drew up the perfect play to potentially send the game to overtime. And then that one dumb mistake by Zaccharie Risacher is the reason why the Hawks officially let the door close. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaway is just bad defensive execution, especially on the inbounds. Because we could, what I found watching this game is that the Hawks cannot move quick enough on defense to stop any transition threat the Bulls had to offer. Because they have a lot of outside shooters. So when the Hawks are slow to transition on defense, not only are you worried about the rim being open for guys who have the ball, you're not able to get your guys back in zone where the wings are wide open. So even if you eliminate the rim from any layups or potential dunks, the outside threes are wide open. So it's a lose-lose because of the shooters the Bulls have on the team. But Jordan, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, I mean, since I was not able to be at the game, I was at Stoneman Mountain Park enjoying some Christmas time with the family.
That's right.
W.
Yeah, so I don't have too much thoughts on this game. Honestly, like so way that just the way that this game ended. Like it's tough. It's tough losing to a team. It's very tough losing to a team like back to back, especially especially the same team. So I mean. I'm 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 gonna say I'm gonna say because according to these statutes, it seems like we played very well. Just I just generally don't know what happened. That's why I'm glad that y'all were there, just able to see it in person. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Honestly, sorry.
Uh,
Sorry, I'm sorry, guys. I just wasn't there, so I don't really have a whole much to say about this game, honestly.
Hey, fine. You're spending time with family. You saved yourself from watching a heartbreak in person. That's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So I guess one thing that's evident that the NBA's even been talking about is it seems like every time the Bulls travel to Atlanta, it's just like an automatic banger, no matter what. And it's kind of sparked a little bit of a rivalry between Atlanta and Chicago. And I say a little bit because nothing too massive, just a little bit of a rivalry. And that really showed in that matchup Tuesday night because of how heated it got, mainly in two incidents, both in the second
Oh yeah.
half. First off, it started between Jalen Johnson and don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me, don't tell me. If you tell me, I'm gonna slap you because I'm gonna guess it's all by myself like a big boy.
Give you a hint.
Um,
He didn't play in the first time we played the Bulls at home.
oh, I forgot his name. Hey, I'm gonna get this. Zach Collins, thank you. It was between Jalen Johnson and Zach Collins. Well, Jalen Johnson drove in, got a nice little and one, and then flexed and was basically telling Zach Collins that he's small. And then Zach Collins and Jalen Johnson got in each other's face. It was quickly separated. Well, this is when everybody was saying was like, oh, okay, hold up. This is getting a little chippy. And then it was in the fourth quarter, about halfway through, about 6, 7 minutes left, maybe five, is when all heck broke loose. And it all started when the Atlanta Hawks were shooting free throws, and Trae Young was kind of standing back, around midcourt like he usually does, talking to Quinn Snyder. Then he walked back to, where he's supposed to stand. But then after the first free throw, the Bulls were making a substitution, and Ayo was walking towards the Bulls bench. And as he was
There we
walking
go.
towards the Bull bench, it wasn't clear if Trae Young said something to him beforehand, but one thing he definitely did was he just when AO went past him, he kind of turned around and gave him a nice little slap on the cheeks. Now, obviously, there's
This
no
is
way that
brotherly
that little
love.
slap on the cheeks there's no way that little smack on the cheek got Ayo so mad that he charged Trae Young and shoved him. So surely something was said beforehand or maybe afterwards. But when it happened, Ayo turned around, went in Trae Young, got in his face, and then shoved him. And then that's when the benches separated. All benches ran, met mid-court, try to separate the two. There was a couple more shoves here and there, ultimately leading to both techs from Trae Young and Ayo, which I do got to argue. I don't think it should have been a technical foul on Trae Young. Maybe, maybe if something was said that we didn't hear, then I can understand. But basically, we could see from our point of view and from the replay, Ayo's the one who got Trae Young's face and shoved him. Trae Young didn't do anything but just slapped Ayo on the cheek, not even hard. I don't think that's worth the technical. But that was pretty entertaining to watch. Now, I do want to call out the NBA referees from this game, and I'm going to call them out by name because I have that power and it's right in front of me. Nick Burkhart, Jason Goldberg, and JD Rawls. That was one of the worst officiated fourth quarters I've seen in my life. And I'm not the type of guy
Yeah,
that
exactly.
stands out and says that a team loses because of the officials. And by all means, that's not what I'm doing here. But what I am saying is that the officiating did seem really one sided, especially in the fourth quarter, really all game, but mainly in the fourth quarter when it seemed like the Bulls were getting all the calls on their side of the court, but then the Hawks were getting practically nothing on the other side. It put the Hawks at a really big disadvantage. But then again, if the Hawks just didn't run into a brick wall offensively, this wouldn't be an issue. The officiating definitely didn't help.
Yeah, and I do want to just go and point out real quick. I want to talk a little bit more about Jalen Johnson and Nickeil Alexander-Walker in this game because I think Jalen Johnson. I think if you want to talk about the few things that did go right for the Hawks before our collapse, is Jalen Johnson's all-around production. I think showed. Really as a good cornerstone piece for the Hawks in this game because he did everything like he typically does. He does scoring, rebounding, playmaking. But if you want to look as a take away what Jalen Johnson did in the first three quarters and take a look again at what went wrong for the Hawks in the fourth quarter is, like I said, you've got the contributors on both ends of the court at some times, not all times. And then when you get instances like the Hawks dealt with in the fourth quarter, where we had bad defensive effort and those late games and late game executions and how inconsistent they were because there's multiple late possessions that, like I said, ended in blown coverages or most of the cases in that game, unnecessary fouls that always allowed Chicago to ease their way closer to a tie game. And rebounding is going to be a common theme in this video, but rebounding in particular was a big issue on the defensive glass, which allowed those second chance scoring and helped again fuel the Bulls to closely tightening that edge that the Hawks had on them for the first three quarters. And it's important to mention that the Bulls were without Kevin Porter Jr., who's been a frequent unavailable and so far this season, which again, the Hawks needed that high impact big man, like I was talking about at the start of the video, who can consistently protect the rim, control the paint, do what you need to do that the Hawks lacked in that fourth quarter alone. Because just even a little bit of that kind of presence would not only compliment, like I said, what Jalen Johnson did in the first three quarters and what Trae Young did for the most part, but it would give us a reliable scoring option when guys like Trae Young and Jalen can't get the ball to drop because there were multiple possessions in the fourth quarter where the Hawks had to close it out, but we failed to get points. Jalen Johnson missed a lot of easy shots at the rim, and that's when you need another reliable scoring option inside, aside from Onyeka Okongwu, who can help improve Atlanta's ability to close out those games. And that's something, like I said, down the stretch we really struggled on. A lot of annoyance, but to your point, Chase, the fight was very fun. To be in attendance and see that kind of benches clearing, scramble, that was kind of electric.
I do have to disagree with you on one thing, though. I don't think rebounding was really a big issue in this game. Defensive rebounding, maybe, but I mean, we don't get a lot of second chance points anyways. But in terms of their second chance points, it was very limited. Compared to what we did Sunday, I thought we did a very good job boxing out defensively and not allowing them a lot of second chance points.
I don't think you heard what I said because I said that for the first three quarters it was really good and then it collapsed in the final 6 minutes.
Yeah,
that's
I'm just saying
that because like you said, when you're looking at the game as a whole, yeah, we did a great job boxing out and getting rebounds. But if you narrow it down and only look at the final 6 minutes, it was bad because when the Bulls went on that 18-9 run, 11 of those 18 points came on second chance scoring, and that's what the Hawks cannot allow to happen. Because you take away those 11 points on second chance scoring, the Hawks win the game. So that's all I was saying.
And there is one more guy I do want to shout out, but we definitely are going to get to him later in the episode, so I'm going to save it because we do have to move on to game number 2. which was just as unfortunate. It was actually more unfortunate than the game.
Y'all want me to cover this since y'all were busy having fun?
Oh, that's exactly what I was getting at, Mr. John. So I was kind of like, so the day after Christmas, we hosted the Miami Heat, one of the teams you just never want to lose to. But we did, and we did it very poorly, mainly because a really bad second quarter just kind of put the game out of reach. We made a good little stretch in the third to get back into it, and then once again, just a very bad defensive fourth quarter. Very typical. Gave the Miami Heat the 15-point win. Now, like me and Andrew, we weren't able to watch the game, but John, on
We
the
were
other hand,
occupied.
John, on the other hand, was able to catch the game for us. He was keep us updated. So just from what I do understand, I mean Norman Powell, because he was on my fantasy team, I know he dropped 25 and had a really good game. The Heat gave the Hawks their fifth loss in a row. Trey Young did do really good, 30 points, 7 assists. Jalen Johnson was once again one rebound away from a triple double for 2 games in a row.
It was
The
six.
Heat.
It was six. It was 6 assists, not 7 assists.
Oh, my bad. Six assists. I said seven. I knew it was either 6, 7. Um, Now that the Heat did rebound the Hawks very, very badly, 54-42. They forced 21 turnovers and only committing 12 themselves, which resulted in 19 more field goal attempts for Miami. So you can see defensively the amount of turnovers they forced really gave them an edge offensively, which as poor defensively as the Hawks already are, that's always bad news. But Mr. John Joyner, get into this game and just lay out the foundation. What went wrong the day after Christmas, just like Christmas Adam?
Yeah. So I mean, the Heat also had 14 steals. So when the Hawks aren't taking care of the ball, um, you know, it's never gonna go our way. So they had 12 total turnovers. We had 21. Flip the numbers, um, and um, and and then also like something that we've always struggled with our paint defense. They had 64 points in the paint. I'm sorry, 66, 66, not 64. They had 66 points in the paint.
Wait, was it
Um,
66 or 67? 66 or 67? Sorry,
66.
I couldn't help myself.
No,
You're
you're
on a
good.
roll.
You're good. I mean, yeah, no, like you said, Chase. They had 52 rebounds to our 42, and but with that they had 13 offensive rebounds, which means that we gotta stop giving up second chance points. Um. So I mean, yeah, like going into the box score, the winning scorer, like you said, Chase, was Norman Powell with 25. Pally Larson had 21. He was the uh, well, I think it's a power forward. I think no, sort of shooting guard, but but no Bam Adebayo, but Cole Ware, he's just like he's still a good big. He's still a good big. So I'm just leaving without Bam Adebayo. Um, uh, I mean, he was there to. I mean, he was there to. When he was there to stop us, but one guy that didn't do a lot of scoring, but like someone who's our a weak point in that Toronto game last year that we went to was Davian Mitchell, who plays for the Heat now, and he was involved in the trying to forget what trade he was involved in, but it was either a trade or a free agency signing, but he's on the Miami Heat now. David Mitchell had 6 points, 7 assists, and 2 steals. And David Mitchell is a good defender in himself. So, Kua Ware had 16 and 13. Andrew Wiggins had 18 points and 8 rebounds. And then for the Hawks, Okonkwo had 12 points, 8 rebounds. Jalen Johnson had 24 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, 1 rebound of a triple double. Zach's been kind of slowing down, only scoring 5 points this game.
Ooh, that's some conversation we
Trae
need to
Young
have.
dropped a 30 bomb with 6 assists. Dyson had 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals. And then Nah and Courage off the bench had 11 points. So yeah.
You know,
So,
looking back at this game,
could
just
I?
real quick. Oh yeah. I'm about to kick out to you. I just to add to John's points on he mentioned at the start. Looking back at this game, I do want to correct one thing that I said. I did say that it was a poor game defensively, but looking back at it, I actually kind of disagree. I don't think the Hawks played that bad defensively at all. So, like they did in Chicago, I think we guarded the perimeter very well. Both teams shot about 30% from beyond the arc, so not a big threat from D for either team, which good for the Hawks. You know, we shut down another team beyond the perimeter back-to-back games. That's very rare. But now the Hawks, just like John mentioned, shot themselves in the foot offensively over and over again because when we weren't turning over the ball, the were just collecting 12 steals. And offensive per possession was one. The Miami Heat was 1.1, which means offensively it was about the same. Where the advantage came was our dumb 21 turnovers, which, like I mentioned before, resulted in 19 more field goal attempts for Miami. That was a big advantage. But Andrew, kicking out to you, what you got for us, man?
So after I was, done having my fun, I went back to really look at this game, and I had to do a little, Perry the Platypus, kind of investigation on this one because there's something
That's
that
not Perry the Platypus. Perry the Platypus wears a hat, dog.
oh, well, Perry the Platypus is a true patriot today. He's
No,
wearing
Perry the Platypus.
Wait, hold on. Stop. Okay, no, Perry the Platypus does not wear a hat. Agent Perry wears a hat.
yeah,
That-
exactly. This is Perry the
That's Perry
You
the
know what?
Platypus.
You know what? You're right. I apologize. I retracted my statement. You are
Agent
absolutely
Perry
right.
wears a hat.
But
You are
yeah,
absolutely right.
so I really have to compliment. This is where I know we've talked a lot about Trae Young in this episode, but we've talked a lot about him in the sense of him kind of being a compliment on offense and a liability on defense. But this one I really want to give. Let's just forget about all the trade rumors, all the noise around Trae Young, and let's just give him the biggest compliment on this game right here because he is the sole reason this game remained competitive for the most part because his leadership in this game was the driving force of the Atlanta Hawks to keep him competitive even when the Hawks reached those tough stretches. And that's something I really like to see because you said it, Jalen Johnson, even with Trae being in that leadership role, something he hasn't really done this year because he has taken a backseat for the most part, but him having to step into that leadership role and allowing Jalen Johnson to still be a driving force and have opportunities for himself showcasing, why he still remains to be the centerpiece of the offense is something I really like because Jalen Johnson, all-around growth, it's still there, impacting the game in every single way, posting almost another triple-double, very versatile, but Atlanta needs its front court pieces, and that's why I want to give a nod to Trae Young. But let's talk about Dyson Daniels because he added a lot of that defensive energy that we didn't get from that last game against the Bulls because he was out, and something we talked about in previous episodes, but this has become more apparent, is Dyson Daniels probably the most underappreciated rebounding guard in the league, especially as a wing. And I think those kind of components are what kind of stabilized him as that good rotation piece that Quinn Snyder likes to use him as because he has the ability to provide those sparks. And despite those positives, despite everything I've just said, Atlanta still had, surprise, surprise, those key areas that we could not ultimately stop, and it costed us big time. And like I said, in the last 6 minutes of that Bulls game was a full four-quarter affair on this game. We were dominated on the glass, losing 52-42 on the glass, particularly, which allowed Miami, just like Chicago, to convert those second chance scoring opportunities and kind of help control the pace for the game. And like you said, turnovers, big issue in this game. 21 giveaways, those are giving Miami those extra possessions in easy scoring opportunities. You take away even half of those 21 turnovers, and the Atlanta Hawks have a chance in those final minutes. Because turnovers being a critical issue, allowing Hawks to, kind of keep up with that pace and physicality that Miami had in the entire second half, it's those hustle plays. And I think that's me getting back to the Hawks being so slow on transition defense, which again, for the most part, came from the turnovers. But it's those hustle plays that I think Quinn Snyder has to hone down on that I haven't seen yet, even in this Knicks game that we're about to get into. But the most aggravating factor that this loss contributed, it gave Atlanta an official 5-10 record at State Farm Arena. And it officially marked the Hawks' 0-3 start to a 5-game homestand that was supposed to be the tipping point, the turning factor of the Atlanta Hawks this season. But no defensive stability and overall lack of competitiveness in the second half led the Hawks to continue to bleed going into this next game that we're about to get into. Absolutely.
And I think there's nothing. I think we pretty much said everything that needs to be said about this game. I think we should move on to the next one because there is a
look. He's
there
back
is a lot.
He's back to his platypus form now.
There is a lot to go back to, a lot to recap in this game last night against the New York Knicks, which was an absolute heartbreaker.
Wait, hold on, Jason.
Knicks won 128 to 125 to extend.
Look, Chase. Look, Luke Kennard just came into the chat. Look. Oh no!
Wait,
look, Luke Kennard's back.
For a sec.
Look, Luke Kennard's back. No.
Dang, did you say Keenan Wallace?
No, it's Kristaps Porzingis.
How dare would I say?
Oh.
How dare you think I say Keenan Wallace, man? What's wrong?
No, I was talking about John, not you.
No, I said Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Last night, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks won 128 to 125, extending the Atlanta Hawks losing streak to 6, meaning the Atlanta Hawks also went 0-5 on their 5-game homestand. The home is supposed to be home. It's supposed to be home sweet home where you defend your territory, you have the fans rallying behind you, and that's where you're supposed to play your best. We had 5 of those games in a row, which is rare. It's rare to have a homestand that's 5 games long. We couldn't even win one of them. 0-5, which means Atlanta drops to 5-11 overall at State Farm Arena, which is just absolutely abysmal, and that is a massive problem on its own. This was, the New York Knicks. We know how bad the Atlanta Hawks struggle defensively. We have a star-studded New York Knicks team heading to Atlanta. Karl-Anthony Towns, surprise, scored a season high of 36 points, 16 rebounds, which doesn't help when Karl-Anthony Towns went to the free throw line 18 times. Angie made the comment in our little group chat last night asking if Karl-Anthony Towns was the new Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, because every time he got breathed on going inside, the rest called a foul. Now, there was one time that Quinn Snyder got tired of it and he reviewed it and it was flicked, which just shows you right there how ridiculous Brent Barnaky, JT Orr, and Jason Goebel was last night. Every time the refs are abysmal, I have your names right here. I am calling you out by name. With that being said, Karl-Anthony Towns made 17 of his 18 free throw attempts. Of course he is, because Karl-Anthony Towns one of the best, if not the best, free throw shooting big men in the league. And then you had Jalen Brunson, who added a nice little 34 points for the Knicks. He's just unstoppable. We already knew this, but it's just more annoying playing him in person. Anytime he drove inside, it could have been a contested mid-range or 2 guys trying to block him on a layup. He still found a way to make it in the basket. And there was one point towards the end of the game that he just took an awful shot from deep and just absolutely drained it, which kind of felt like the dagger. That was just the type of night Jalen Brunson was having, which seems about every type of night Jalen Brunson has. Nikhil Alexander-Walker scored a nice 25 points.
He was a saving grace for the Hawks, man.
He was. And this was also something we talked about in the group chat because every time it seemed like the Knicks were pulling away again, it was Nikhil Alexander Walker that clawed the Atlanta Hawks back. Ultimately, it wasn't just him, but at a lot of points, it was him. He had 25 points, which by the way, one thing I got to get out of the way is the New York Knicks had full control of this game at halftime, and for most of the third quarter. But it wasn't until about late in the third quarter the Atlanta Hawks erased a huge deficit. We were down by 19 at one point in the third quarter, and at 48 seconds left of the game, Nikhil Alexander-Walker stole the ball and made a layup that gave the Hawks the 125-124 lead with 48 seconds left.
Yeah.
Our first lead since way early in the first quarter.
Talk about an electric atmosphere too, man.
Oh my gosh.
It was right after that moment in the game where there was Knicks fans and Hawks fans. Knicks fans, because there was a lot in attendance for that game, like there always is when they're in Atlanta. But it was let's go Knicks from the Yankees, and then let's go Hawks from the Hawks fans. They were both doing it back and forth, and then you had that moment of a Kongwu. It was awesome, dude. And then of course we fall flat on our face.
It was your typical Hawks and Knicks rivalry. I mean, that is a rivalry, and that's all because of Trae Young.
They're so obsessed with Trae Young. I mean,
they are.
They come all the way from New York to Atlanta just to boo this man.
I their daddy, man, because they missed their daddy.
I don't get the. I do not get the obsession with them. I don't.
They missed their daddy, man.
Which Trae Young, didn't play that great of a game scoring-wise. He did rack up 10 assists, and he had one of the biggest shots of the game in the fourth quarter, which was a really huge and one off the glass. So still contributed, but our big boy, Aneke Okongwu, led the Atlanta Hawks with 31 points, 14 rebounds. Jalen Johnson recorded his 13th double-double in a row with 20 points, 12 assists, and 9 rebounds before he fouled on the final minute, which means all 3 games this week, Jalen Johnson was 1 rebound away from a triple-double. So if he got 1 more rebound in all 3 games, he could have had 4 straight triple-doubles, which would have pushed his total to 9, which is absolutely ridiculous. I want to go ahead and shout out the man that I was going to shout out in the first game, which I'm going to shout out now. And this is a case I'm going to make right now. Asa Newell has earned himself more minutes. Now, he did get 17. Now, I think it was evident last night that Quinn Snyder has finally got to the point where he's really giving Luke Kennard hardly any minutes. Well-deserved because he's playing like absolute garbage, contributes to nothing. There was even one point in the game, he had an open floater at the end of the shot clock, and instead of taking it, he kicked it out to Dyson Daniels and forced him to shoot a contested three on the wing, which he absolute brick, and it was all your fault, Luke Kennard, because if you're not going to shoot a wide open mid-range, what are we paying you for? That's besides the point. That's exactly why Luke Kennard got only 5 minutes off the bench last night, and he's replaced those minutes with Asa Newell, giving him 17, which he collected 12 points, hit 2 really big threes, 2 rebounds, and had a really clutch block on Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns went up with it. Asa Newell palmed the ball and grabbed it all the way down. And Karl Anthony Towns was on the ground saying, "Ref, where's my foul? Where's my foul?" We were like, "Nah, dog."
That's a great impersonation of Karl Anthony Towns. That's a perfect impersonation.
It's the SEC.
I know for a minute y'all thought Karl Anthony Towns joined the podcast. Yeah, that was not Cat.
I know. I was had Andrew beat you because I thought you were Karl Anthony Towns. We don't want to know the Knicks player on this podcast.
I know it was confusing, guys. I'm sorry if I confused y'all. Cat did not join the podcast. That was me. I know it's confusing, but I apologize. That was me. But the point is, I think it needs to stay that way. I think Luke Kennard needs to get what Asa was getting at the start of the year, and Asa needs to get what Luke Kennard was getting at the start of the year and keep it that way. Because Asa is a walking bucket. But what I love him most for is his defense. And with the Hawks, who need any type of defense I can get, Asa Newell, you can get all the minutes you want as long as you play this great defensively. He reminds me of the Jonathan Isaac. He's exactly what the Magic have in Jonathan Isaac. When he does shoot the ball, he's a walking bucket. But you love him for his defense. The Knicks did win the game, though, however. because after Nikhil Alexander-Walker got the go-ahead layup, OJ Anunoby hit 2 free throws, which gave the Knicks the
No,
lead
no,
again.
no. I think they got a steal. I think
And,
someone like threw the ball away. They got a
yeah,
steal, and they took it, and they took it, and we fouled him on the end one.
yeah, that was before the steal. So OG made 2 free throws. In the next possession, he stole the ball from Trae Young's pass, which padded the lead. Then he got 2 more free throws.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's what ultimately had the
Okay, my
Knicks.
fault. My fault.
No, you're good. You're good. I mean, either way, absolute heartbreaker from OG Anunoby. But between you and Andrew, I'll let y'all decide who wants to go take this one
Andrew,
first.
you got it.
Yeah, so basically what I want to get into, I know Chase kind of covered everything, but I'll kind of find some things that weren't covered. I guess I was going to start talking about what went right for Atlanta because I think there was a lot of right that was mixed in with all the chaos. Because even while the Hawks are enduring this losing streak, you see that Trae Young, he struggled to score tonight, like Chase said, but he was at least still able to orchestrate the offense in some capacity. Using his outside advantages other than scoring the ball with pick and roll, step backs, drives to the basket. Because you saw against Miami, like I said, he scored 30 points. So you can see that the consistency is still there, even though it wasn't found in his scoring ability in this game against the Knicks. But Onyeka Okongwu, with his monster performance, 31 points, 14 rebounds. That is the dominant interior guy that the Hawks need as a reliable finisher around the rim that we can't get when he's off the court. But he's played such a big role in this game, especially in the fourth quarter, that helped the Hawks get the lead. And I think a guy like him also helps Atlanta spread the floor. And you get guys like Nah, who has that late clutch scoring to help, enable the comeback even more. And you look at the way that the Hawks were able to close out the game, and it makes you want that game even more, especially when you're in the midst of such a bad losing streak, because you feel like this is the comeback that's going to get us out of the slump. It's going to push us forward with momentum. And then you get the Trae Young turnover when he had Dyson Daniels make the beautiful backdoor cut. And for some reason, he felt the need to pass it back to Jalen Johnson, who was covered by OG. And it's just infuriating. In critical areas is still the biggest concern for Atlanta because, again, we got out rebounded 56-38 against the Knicks. And it's just allowing repeated second chance scoring. And it's going to limit Atlanta's ability to have our own transition opportunities that we keep giving up to the other team. Again, turnovers, like I said, we had 21 against Miami. They weren't as big as a concern against Chicago. But here in this game, we talk about the big man, Okongwu, great offensively, but there was no box out. It was non-existent. And when you're facing those dominant big guys like Karl Anthony Towns and those guys who are able to control pace and stuff like that, you got to have an ability to match that physicality. And I expect that from a guy like Okongwu. But then you get Mitchell Robinson on the other end. Okongwu can't do everything. So Jalen Johnson, I'm even looking at you. You've got to be able to find yourself and muscle yourself inside the paint and at least get a box shot presence so you can at least bring arms down and get more arms for those rebounds. Because it's more like it seems like we're not matching what the Knicks have in the pace in the paint at those kind of times where we can secure rebounds and at least provide some kind of anchor on defense. So moving forward, because that's how the Knicks were able to build such a big lead in the first place. And then we figure it out. And once we pick up momentum, we can only do it for so long. And that's why I think the Hawks never had the ability to control the game until the fourth quarter when we were able to go on a big run. But big runs can't be your cornerstone. It can't be what you lean on. Just how about you for once? How about you don't find yourself in those lack of efficient moments that lead to those scoring droughts and get yourself some kind of stability. So moving forward, Trae Young and Jalen Johnson, you've got to be cohesive with each other, not at all times, because like I said, when Trae Young's not scoring the ball, that's when he can use his other archetypes to complement Jalen Johnson and vice versa. But you've got to be able to have that secondary interior. And that is to cap off my talking points. That's going to be my main thing for this video. If the Hawks going forward do not find that secondary interior away from Okongwu and feel that urgent roster need to make that true impact so we can efficiently dominate both sides of the floor, you're going to constantly find Trae and Johnson operating the offense and not getting back on defense because we don't have any stability. And they can't be your two guys. Jalen Johnson especially. So there you go.
You know what would help with that?
What's that?
Kristaps Porzingis.
Exactly, and that's why I didn't even bring up his name. That's why I didn't even bring it up because I'm so freaking tired of him not playing. And it's not his fault, so I'm not taking shots at him personally. I'm just like, it's unfortunate, and the Hawks got to do something.
What you got first, John?
I honestly have nothing honestly for y'all. I think y'all covered it perfectly. So I got nothing for y'all, honestly.
I will say I think I was talking to a guy at church I'm friends with that's a big Knicks fan, and he described Mitchell Robinson perfectly. I went up to him, I was like, hey man, Mitchell Robinson is one of the most annoying guys to play against because of how good he is at rebounding, and it just shows how perfectly constructed this New York Knicks team is, because you have a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, a top big man in the league. He's a great rebound himself, but what he brings to the table offensively as well is unbelievable. And then just getting 20 minutes off the bench is Mitchell Robinson, who is the best rebounder in the league. I said it. Mitchell Robinson is the best rebounder in the league. And you look at that play towards in the fourth quarter when the Hawks were near, I think the Knicks were only up by 3 at this point. The Knicks had the ball. We contested a Jalen Brunson mid-range. He missed, and Jalen Johnson was there for the rebound. Johnson grabs it with 2 hands, and on his way down with one freaking hand, Mitchell Robinson gets in there, steals the ball from him, and goes up went up for a layup before we fouled him, which ultimately took Jalen Johnson out of the game. That was his final foul. But if he had to do that because of that stupid one-handed rebound Mitchell Robinson got, and I don't blame that on Jalen Johnson, but I credit Mitchell Robinson for how incredible he is at rebounding, and it's absolutely annoying to go up against.
Yeah. Something I also want to point out, and something you brought up, Chase, and this would be the last thing I say for the episode, is can we talk about Asa Newell? And you talked about getting him more minutes. And I think something that needs to start being a conversation on this.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, and I figured you would. Because you look at Asa Newell, like you said, Chase, he has defensive awareness. His on-ball intensity is so much better than what you get from most of the players we have on the roster anyways. And I think another underrated factor that I've seen from this rookie is he has a great ability to provide passing lanes because he is a very underrated passer. You see some of the passes he made that next game and fitting it through tight screens and, his ability to knock down contested shots that I think is also very underrated. But basically the point I'm getting at is you have a guy that does help protect the paint. You have a guy that reduces pressure off the ball. You have a guy that actually plays perimeter defense. You try to figure out if you're Quinn Snyder, how can I increase his minutes? Let's take a look at the conversive side of the lineup. Zaccharie Risacher, number 1 pick last year, had some of the best 3 months of basketball to end the season. So much anticipation was on his shoulders for his sophomore season. But he's had so many defensive lapses, and he's been a big factor to why the Hawks can't play transition defense because he's late rotating in and out. He's fouling out of position, and he struggles to contest drives like he did with Jalen Brunson last night. So you have guys who make so many defensive run mistakes. would it be smart for the Hawks to reduce Zachary's minutes and say, okay, we got to let you sit, concentrate on a small portion of the game so you can figure out your ins and outs and give a guy like Asa Nua, who has earned his keep, give him Zachary's minutes, let Asa Nua get those minutes off the bench and keep Zachary to a minimum. What do you think about that? I think it'd be in Zachary's best interest as well.
I mean, honestly, I mean, y'all know how. Like for me personally, like, I mean, y'all know how much I wanted Mason Newell in the draft, so y'all know how I feel about him.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
like I agree with you.
You're on board.
Andrew. I think we should. I think we should. Like you said, like not bench Zach for Asa, obviously, but give Asa Zach's minutes and let Zach play like 15, 20 minutes like in the starting line and have Asa play those 25, 30, 25, 28 minutes like off the bench.
I know we talked about this a little bit at church, Andrew. Here's my problem. I love Zaccharie. I want to continue to see him get more minutes off the bench. Not I meant Asa, not Zaccharie. I love what I've seen from Asa, and I want to see him get more minutes. I think 17 to the 20-minute range, kind of what Mitchell Robinson gets for the Knicks, is perfect for him off the bench. Not ready for the starting lineup. And
Yeah,
if we
not for the starting lineup.
and if we take Zaccharie out, the only reason I'm against that, I love the idea of getting Zaccharie on the bench in a reduced role so he can figure himself out as a player and where he fits on this team. I just don't think the Hawks have the pieces to do that yet. Because if we took Zaccharie out of the lineup, who would our starting five be? I mean, Trae Young, Dyson Daniels. I know you said Null at small forward. I don't like that at all. I don't want Null at. You can't put Null at a forward.
I think Null could easily play the small forward position. I think he could easily do it.
Absolutely not.
Why not?
He doesn't he doesn't play like a forward at all.
He's more a point guard in my opinion.
He is a thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, he is a solidified guard. He is a guard true and through, and you can't pull him at forward.
He has so many forward qualities though. Like you take a look at how he plays, and it's eerily similar. And in my opinion, kind of like I think he has the same scoring abilities. Not now, don't freak out because I'm not trying to compare him to any ounce of imagination. I'm just talking about the way that he finds scoring options. He has the same attack mindset as Kevin Durant does. And I think the way that he plays in the post and how he plays off screens could easily make him a forward.
Durant and Nickeil Alexander, I know what you're saying. That's not the point you're making. But in terms of, yes, that's maybe one component, but that doesn't solidify you as a forward. The way Durant and Nickeil Alexander plays is completely different.
When it comes to finding scoring opportunities, I don't think it's different.
Sure, that's fine. And fine in terms of finding opportunities, but that's not a. I know, and that's fine. That's fine to say that, but that's not a qualifying factor for a guard or a forward. That's just a basketball thing. Anyone can have that quality, but that doesn't define you as a guard or a forward. So that is something that
I think it definitely does.
No. You cannot put Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So I would love to put Zaccharie on the bench in a minimized role to help him find himself as a player, find himself his place on the team. We just don't have the piece to do that yet. So I think as of right now, we're kind of stuck leaving Zaccharie in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
But go ahead, John. Good.
I mean, one more thing too. Something else too. Like Zach's also like only in year 2. Like,
right.
I think benching him like as a. I think benching him like as a. I think benching him this early. When we trusted him this early, that would only destroy his confidence. Like that would only make him like play less confidently than we did.
And his confidence is already low. Now, Andrew, I do think Quinn Snyder sees it from this point of view. I think he knows Zaccharie has to play in a lesser role, but I think he also knows he's stuck leaving in the starting lineup. So I think what he did minutes-wise last night was perfect. I think he's splitting Zaccharie and Asa's minutes already because he's giving Luke Kennard so little minutes, which is fine. But he's but he's leaving Zaccharie in the starting lineup because last night he gave Zaccharie 19 minutes and Asa 17. What if you do that every night? Give Zaccharie and Asa about the same minutes, about 19 minutes each, but just leave Zaccharie in the starting rotation. So that way when the starting players are on the floor, you have Zaccharie playing alongside them. When the bench players are on the floor, you have Asa playing alongside them.
I have to ask you this question though, going back on Nikhil Alexander-Walker, because I was pretty sure that Nikhil Alexander-Walker has at least played forward at some point. And going back on his time at Minnesota, he did play the small forward position with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And it says right here, like I said, they actually Google actually compares him to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander-Walker. Because if you remember,
Which is he's not a forward, by the way.
Huh?
Shai's not a forward.
I know, but neither is Nall right now. Nall's a guard, but my point is he can play forward like he did on the Timberwolves. And if you're comparing him to SGA, if you remember, before he was traded to the Thunder, he was the Clippers small forward. So those are two guys with similar aspects who had the experience playing the forward. So why are you so against him playing small forward?
Can play small forward and should play small forward is a big difference. Maybe he can, but he definitely shouldn't.
But you just said earlier that he has no qualities of a forward.
Which is why I think he shouldn't.
But he's played small forward, so he does have those qualities.
Shouldn't. And that's probably why he's been a guard a lot more than he's been a forward, and that's for great reason.
No, he was a four. He was a wing. He was kind of like a swing man on Minnesota. So he was really interchangeable.
But playing a minimized role though.
My point is, whether you agree with it or not, he absolutely has the experience and he knows what it takes to play forward. And if it means giving Asa Zachary's minutes, I think you absolutely do it.
I think you leave it like Quinn Snyder's doing it now, split the minutes between Zaccharie and Asa, leave Zaccharie start lineup. I think that's in the best interest of the team.
Oh, yeah, because it's definitely working.
100%.
I mean, I don't think your solution makes it any better, if not worse. Because then what?
Putting Asa in the starting five is worse?
Asa's not going in the starting five.
I mean, you mean giving Asa Zachary's minutes makes it worse?
No, I think putting Nall at small forward starting is worse.
I'm not following your logic, but
either way, I know we've gone over a little time. Is there any other final remarks before you end this episode?
No, I mean we played the Thunder we played the Thunder in Minnesota next, so I expect us to end the year 0-8. So
Lord help us.
Happy New Year's, guys.
Happy New Year's, ladies. Yeah, don't worry about Hawks basketball. You know, we'll get that covered for y'all. Y'all just enjoy y'all's New Year's and save yourselves from misery.
Yeah, so, yeah.
With that being said, though, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Talkin ATL podcast. And hopefully, by the grace of the good Lord, we'll be able to talk about something positive next episode. Yeah. With that being said,